It has been a year and a half since the reveal that Nintendo was working on the follow-up to the Wii U, dubbed the NX. Since then, there have been more rumors and hoaxes than any other gaming product out there. However, the community has been drip-fed little bits of info, and we are going to go over all of those and the complete history of Nintendo's NX. This story starts off back on March 17th, 2015, during Nintendo's press conference with mobile developer DeNA. It was announced that Nintendo was hard at work on a dedicated game system called NX. It was later stated that this cryptic announcement was made according to former Nintendo president Satoru Iwata because, quote, "I wanted many people to understand that Nintendo will continue its dedicated game system business with even stronger motivation and passion." Iwata then states that info on the NX would not be released until 2016. The topic of region locking was brought up during a Nintendo investors Q&A on May 10th, 2015, where Iwata stated that, quote, "Removing region locking from current games machines presents various issues, so we don't consider that to be very realistic. However, regarding the NX, given the consumer feedback and proposals from the market, we are currently investigating internally what problems there would be in realizing it." And shortly after, Iwata stated that no NX information would be talked about at E3 2015. In that same meeting, Iwata said the much repeated phrase that the NX would not intend to become a simple replacement for the 3DS or Wii U. This simple replacement phrase has been repeated many times and has led many to believe that the NX would be a hybrid of sorts. Throughout the next month, Next Level Games, Monolith Soft, and Retro Studios announced NX games being in development, and shortly after, during an interview with Iwata, it was stated that the NX idea cannot be talked about to keep competitors from stealing those ideas. So nothing was said during E3, but shortly after, it was revealed that Nintendo had closed-door meetings with third parties regarding the NX, and the reception to the system was positive. In July, it was also revealed by Iwata that those third parties approached Nintendo for joint initiatives for games on the NX. News was silent until August 21st, when the first of many Nintendo patents was found by NeoGAF. The first describes a dedicated game console lacking a disk drive. This digital console is able to come in hard drive and hard drive-less flavors. Game code designed for this system works with different configurations due to the different possibilities of the hardware. A second patent was found 3 days later, describing a system that would allow users to share recorded gaming achievements with friends. Like Miiverse with Xbox 360 achievement software, this system would record the gameplay of the achievement and give players the option to share that footage with friends. It was around this time that an interview from July becomes public, where Shigeru Miyamoto confirms the development of Pikmin 4 and that the game was actually close to completion. In September, an official statement from Nintendo was released, further confirming this game. Days later, more Nintendo patents were uncovered. The first describing a handheld with a large gamepad-style screen, and most importantly, rotary shoulder buttons. Essentially, mouse scroll wheels that can be clicked, where shoulder buttons would normally be found. A second patent describing a handheld with dual vibration sensors was found to act as haptic feedback. The users would feel the vibrations and also have the ability to control the intensity of these sensors. 2 days later, another patent was found describing a handheld with outward-facing image sensors on all 4 sides, which could detect movement, distance, and rotation of both hands and objects, to be used in a multitude of ways in games and menus. The patent explicitly describes an ability to read barcodes off of amiibo-style toys, along with being able to detect the user's pulse through fingertips. A month later, it was reported by the Wall Street Journal that Nintendo had started giving out development kits to second and high-level third parties. Nintendo was allegedly using industry-leading chips within this system, but whether these were leading ARM processors or x86 processors was not stated. On October 29th, 2015, during a strategy briefing on Nintendo's mobile games, Miyamoto added a detail on the NX, stating that, quote, "We are going to be far more aggressive in using our IP and not just stopping with licensing as in the past. We want our IP to better reach more children, and smart devices are just one vehicle." Once again, news went silent until December 3rd, when one of the most important patents was found. It describes a game console with a detachable handheld. Each system can play games independently of one another, however, you can plug the handheld into the console and share resources between the two. In addition, a large focus is on the idea of cloud gaming, where the system would be able to connect to other servers that would offload some of the resources resources, along with the ability to share resources between other players while your system is not being used. When the system is turned back on, it gives a report to who the resources were shared with. In some cases, the player could be compensated with digital or physical goods. Now, why is this patent the most important? Because I believe that this is the main gimmick of the NX. Other patents describe input devices, which still could be integrated, but the main idea of a console and handheld sharing resources not only confirms the most frequent rumors of the NX, but it is also worth stating that about 6 months later, this patent was allowed and cleared. A week later, yet another patent was discovered describing a controller or handheld using a technology called freeform display. Essentially, a touchscreen that is not limited by standard sizing or shape conventions. The patent describes a controller with multi-purpose operation sticks that could have the surrounding screen change based on the stick's function. This technology was originally shown off back in June of 2014 by Sharp, and it was reported that Nintendo had shown a large interest within this technology. The patents show a basic mock-up of a controller, however, it is very likely not to be the final design of anything Nintendo will release. On March 10th, 2016, even more patents were discovered by NeoGAF. 3 were found in total, all describing around the same thing, being a handheld or controller with infrared and RGB cameras that detect motion, distance, and position, with 1 stressing vibration sensors. Now, this appears to be a revised controller that was described in a previous patent with the outward-facing image sensors, and once again, it is very focused on the input of a supposed system. Now, according to Technovo, a market research company, Nintendo allegedly spent over $127 million on research and development in 2015, with most of these R&D costs being focused on whatever the next console project would be. It was around this time that Nintendo had its most fruitful NX news day to date, the most important info being that the NX would launch in March of 2017, and that it would not be discussed at E3 of that year. Kimishima later stated that the NX will continue Nintendo's tradition of finding, quote, new ways to play, and that he hopes everyone will enjoy the Zelda reveal at E3. And we did. Zelda Breath of the Wild was announced on the Wii U and NX, and the difference between the two versions being the visuals. It was later found within Breath of the Wild's trademark form that the game would possibly ship on a cartridge, furthering a long-withstanding NX rumor. During E3, a representative from Nintendo of Canada restated the fact that Nintendo would talk about the NX near the end of the year, and Miyamoto restated the stance of protecting Nintendo from copycats when talking about the NX. On October 11th of this year, the last important patent was found detailing a handheld or controller using detachable controller modules. These pieces snap onto the sides of a screen-like controller or handheld and are detected using infrared cameras on each side of the device. The actual controller packs contain no electronics, and instead they are detected through different buttons being pushed down that are detected by the infrared camera. This greatly reduces the cost of any kind of controls being developed and allows different controllers to be designed to fit specific games. Months later, we come to present day, where it is early October. Rumors and hoaxes have been floating around for over a year, but few points remain throughout. If the patents tell us anything, then a basic understanding of what the NX could be takes shape. Speculation. The NX will likely be a 2-part system, with a handheld and console that could probably be purchased separately, and they can play the same games independently of one another. The software will be programmed to change its settings depending on what configurations it's running on, whether that's the console, the handheld, or if the two are plugged in and used in conjunction. Since the handheld will be capable of running the same games, the software will have to come on a small, non-cumbersome media, so cartridges should be used. The console will include a controller with a screen, however the entire unit will likely be smaller than the gamepad. The screen will take advantage of Sharp's freeform display technology and will probably allow the user to change what button layout it uses with detachable controller modules. Both the handheld and controller will include new forms of input, being IR cameras for detecting object and hand movement, a projector, haptic feedback, and rotary shoulder buttons. Now, not everything will be included, but instead a combination of some. As for the system, an updated Miiverse will probably be introduced with achievements, and an easy way to connect and chat with friends, along with the ability to record and share pictures and videos of your gameplay. Now, as for backwards compatibility, there is no evidence for anything, but I find it likely for Nintendo to sell a version of the NX with a disc drive or possibly a disc drive attachment that would allow for Wii U games to be played. Possibly the cartridge slot could be designed to also accept 3DS games, especially since 3DS games are set to be released long after the NX launches. Now remember, Nintendo combined their handheld and console teams back in early 2013, and since then, they have been B-teaming, or they have been having smaller and younger teams work on lower level games to pad out the Wii U's lifespan, and lately, they haven't even been trying to give the Wii U many releases. Kimishima stated that the March release that they set was to keep the launch and subsequent year of the life of the NX to be filled with quality releases. And it is my prediction that the big guys up at Nintendo EPD have been working on all the stuff that they know will sell units and excite the fan base. But that's all just my wild speculation. Look forward to whatever the NX is going to be. And hey, Nintendo News Network is back, and I promise weekly uploads from this point forward. However, me promising that doesn't actually mean that it will happen. It just means that I'm going to work on videos once a week and try and get them out once a week. If you want to be able to see more Nintendo News Network videos, as I have a bunch of ideas, try and think about supporting me in a few different ways, most importantly being the Patreon page down in the description below. Nintendo News Network videos are my favorite things to work on. They just make very, very little money because copyright claims and all that stuff. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Nintendo News Network. Have a good day. Adios.